Hi folks, the Filipino P here, and we're way overdue for another mailbag video. I might have been away for a few months, but that sure didn't stop the emails from pouring in. And boy, do I have some good ones. Today we have a man wondering what to do about an unwanted bedmate, a guy who's confused about the flirtatious behavior of his sister-in-law, and a man who's surprised by a Filipina's lack of enthusiasm regarding a popular bedroom activity. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to forget all about your problems as we listen to theirs. First up is an email from Philip T, who's living in Davao. Phil says, Dear P, for almost a year now, I've been dating a single mom with 2 kids aged 7 and 9. We spend lots of time together, sometimes with her kids and often by ourselves at my apartment. Everything was going great until about 2 months ago when I moved into her place to save money and to be closer to her. I expected things to be a little different, but I had no idea just how much my life would change for the worse. All her kids ever do is sit in front of the TV with their phones or tablets. And when they're not doing that, they cling to their mom 24/7. I can barely get a word in edgewise. There's no discipline. The kids eat junk food whenever they want and seem to have no real friends or a life of their own. But that's not even the worst part. Her kids just open the door and walk into the bedroom without knocking. And almost every night, the 9-year-old somehow winds up sleeping in our bed. My girlfriend acts like this is completely normal. But it's killed their ability to function as a happy couple, if you know what I mean. Oh yes, I know what you mean. I want to straighten things out ASAP, but whenever I try to make any suggestions or, heaven forbid, try to correct her kids, I get an icy glare and a cold shoulder from my girlfriend. Now I just feel like the warden of an insane asylum, and I'm thinking about ending things before I become one of the inmates. I'm so sorry, I know that's not funny, but it's just the way you said it. I really do love this woman, but I can't live like this, and she doesn't seem to think that any of these issues are a big deal. Is this normal behavior? Wow, Philip, I'm so sorry, and all I can say is, welcome to the Philippines! Okay, let's see if I can sort this out for you. And maybe you folks watching this will learn a few things about our culture along the way. I'm not gonna pass judgment on any of this stuff. I'm just telling it like it is. Filipino kids are far less independent than Western kids. And while some of them do go out and play, now that a lot of homes have TVs and gadgets, there's an epidemic of kids slumped over the couch, not doing anything that doesn't involve their fingers. It's sad but true, and I don't know much you can do about it. As far as having a say about their eating habits and behavior, if you're just living with this woman, you're kind of limited in how much control you can exert at this point. You just moved in 2 months ago, so they're probably not going to see you as a father figure, just more like mom's boyfriend. If you try to charge in and change everything, prepare to meet resistance. But clearly, something's gotta give. Now, as far as her kids sleeping with her, that's another thing that Filipinos often do that blows the minds of Westerners. In your culture, kids are taught to have their own identities and their own space. But in this culture, sometimes kids aren't discouraged from sleeping with their parents until they reach double digits, which can obviously cause problems for a couple's intimacy as well as personal privacy. So, what to do? Well, most of the people watching this are screaming at you to just get the bleep out of there. And I can't say I disagree. Life's too short, and you have too many options to just let other people ruin your life. But I know how strong the emotion of love is. And a lot of my advice goes ignored because the thought of leaving someone you truly love is just too painful to contemplate. So if you're not prepared to pull up anchor just yet, here's a few other options. You wouldn't necessarily have to end the relationship. Just move out and go back to the way things were. You could even just keep like that until the kids are grown or gone. Maybe in their 30s or 40s, if you're lucky. Or you could sit her down and issue an ultimatum. Come up with a list of things that are simply unacceptable to you, like the no knocking and no sleeping in your bed. Tell her that she's not considering your feelings and your expectations and your culture, and you need more from the relationship. After all, it's supposed to be a partnership, right? If she refuses to accommodate you, or if she tries to give you the cold shoulder tempo routine, then so be it. Just walk away, knowing that you did everything you could. Maybe she just didn't realize how badly these things were bothering you, or maybe she's just unwilling to change her life to become your lives. Either way, an ultimatum will make her intentions known. But don't ever let anyone use emotional blackmail on you, because I promise that'll be just the tip of the iceberg. Stay frosty, my friend, and please let me know how things turn out. So the next email is from Julian B. in Cebu. Julian writes, I married my beautiful Filipina several years ago, and I love her with all my heart. Our relationship is near perfect, but the problem I'm having isn't with her. It's her sister. When my wife first introduced me to her family, she explained that her older sister was a little shy and withdrawn, and had never even had a boyfriend. She encouraged me to befriend her sister and pay her compliments to boost her low self-esteem and maybe bring her out of her shell. So that's what I did. When she made dinner for the family, I complimented her cooking. When she got her hair done, I told her how pretty it looked. And when she wanted to learn to drive, I let her take it around the block with me in the passenger seat. My wife noticed that her sister was brightening up and encouraged me to continue. But now I'm noticing some unwanted side effects, like brushing her hand across my back or shoulders when she walks past, or touching my arm when she brings me a drink. Recently, she started hugging me whenever I say goodbye and kissing me on the neck beneath my ear before letting me go. She does this in full view of my wife, who doesn't seem to notice anything odd. I'm sure it's just a harmless crush, but I have a sinking feeling that my sister-in-law is developing an unhealthy attraction. So my question is, should I bring this subject up with my wife, or am I just asking for trouble if I mention it? I know how Filipinas are, and I don't want to drop a nuke on family harmony. So what would you suggest? Okay, Julian, I don't think you're in too much of a mess yet. There are all kinds of possible reasons for this woman's behavior, from totally innocent to downright backstabbing. But let's keep our heads for now. Since the sister does these things in front of your wife and doesn't try to hide anything, it's reasonable to assume that neither one of them think anything's going on. If you weren't already happily married, I might suspect that your wife was giving you a shy test to prove your fidelity, waiting to see if you'd tell her what's been happening. But in this case, I don't smell a trap. Chances are, her sister's just developed a warm feeling about you and doesn't know the appropriate way to show it. If I were you, I'd reduce the amount of compliments and personal attention you've given her. Not so much that she notices and feels rejected, but hopefully to a point that she's not mistaking your involvement as anything more than everyday kindness. If she steps up the flirtation, it might be time to get your wife involved, but I certainly wouldn't do it yet. Because once you open a can of worms, Filipinas have a way of blowing things out of proportion and starting wars that never end. Let me know how it goes, Julian, and in the meantime, keep your head down and out of trouble. Our final email is a doozy, and it comes from Scott P. from California. Scott says, Miss P, I've been in the Philippines a couple years, and I've dated a lot of Filipinas, but they all seem to share one thing in common. I recently found a woman I think I want to settle down with, but guess what? She has the same issue too. I don't want to sound like a perv, but Okay, you know when you guys use vulgar terms, I can't use your actual words. So certain parts of the following email have been altered to make it YouTube friendly, as well as my reply. So, I don't want to sound like a perv, but there's a certain bedroom activity that really pleases me. But almost no Filipina I've ever met seems to enjoy it or even know how to do it. Same thing with receiving. It just seems to repulse them, and whenever I suggest it, I get a weird look, like I'm suggesting something unpleasant or unnatural. Is this true of all Filipinas, or did I just hit a string of bad luck? And how can I bring up the subject in a way that might succeed? Well, Scott, like I just told Philip, welcome to the Philippines. Now, first off, I want to say that no, not all Filipinos are opposed to the idea of a little lip service. But it's true that giving a Bill Clinton isn't something we're used to. Now, a lot of you are gonna say, oh, my Filipina just loves going downstairs for breakfast. And that's great. I'm sure there are lots of Filipinas that enjoy it. In fact, I'm positive of it. But your average Filipina just hasn't added the adult Happy Meal to her regular diet. So don't be surprised when she turns her nose up at the thought of munching on a carrot. Some of us think it's dirty. Some of us think it's abnormal. But many of us just don't have any experience playing the flute. One thing you need to know about Filipinos is that we're not particularly adventurous. And if there's something we don't know how to do, our natural reaction is just not to try it. So my advice is to focus on giving. Don't force her to do anything she's uncomfortable with. But it's easier for her to let you kiss the Wookiee than it is for her to muster up the courage to try bobbin the nubbin. So at first, just concentrate on her. Giving her a good tongue lashing will have her speaking in tongues lickety-split. And maybe she'll be more amenable to return the favor by giving you a hootie wash. But whatever you do, avoid putting pressure on a Filipina. We get flustered easily. And we're always worried about doing something wrong, so just let us take our own sweet time getting there. I wish you both the best of luck. And if I don't hear back from you, I'll assume you're busy with a no-denture adventure. Well, that's it for this episode, and I hope you enjoyed listening to the problems of others to take your mind off your own. And I'll be back on Friday with something unusual. Till then, folks. Well, I said I'd post an update on my Starlink system, so here it is. I've had it for almost a week now, and everything's still working just fine, with an average download speed of about 130 Mbps and an average upload speed of about 18 Mbps, which is fine with me. You also asked me about the effect of stormy weather, but all I've had so far is blue skies, so I don't know how heavy clouds or rain is gonna affect the signal, but I'll keep you posted if it makes a big difference. So far, the only trouble I've had is when the power went out a few days ago. So I'm trying to get a backup power system. Now, you guys had a lot of good suggestions for that. But when I went to go get one, I don't think they understood what I was looking for. You said to buy a UPS, but they told me we don't have that here, just FedEx. So then I asked for a Blue Yeti, and they handed me a stuffed animal. He also mentioned a Jackery kit. But when I asked about that, they tried to sell me lotion and tissues. Filipinos. Give me a P. Give me an E. Give me an A. What do you got? What you got is the best source of information about life in the Philippines. I can give you the inside scoop about everything you need to know, then cheer you on as you start your overseas adventure. All I ask in return is that you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and consider becoming a patron to receive extra content and exclusive videos. And while you're waiting for the game to resume, why not check out the halftime show? I wish I had bigger pom-poms.